Welcome. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. I've been promising an about me. So today's the day. I'm going to talk about me and how I fit into your equation. I discovered energy very late in life. Most people recognize that they're attached to energy quite early on, and I didn't actually recognize it until I had suffered a few personal setbacks, the first being divorce. Up until then, I had struggled for years with trying to find happiness, not recognizing that happiness was something I chose. I was constantly changing things up to see if I could do things different, if that would make a difference in my life. It didn't. It would make a difference for a short period of time, but like all human beings, I ended up sliding back into my comfort zone, which put me back into states of depression and anger and self-hatred. I finally got off that roller coaster. About 2009, 2010. I just was fed up. I was at the point where I couldn't tolerate my life any longer. So I actually confronted my then husband and said, "Hey, do you even want to be here?" He paused for a second and said, "No." I was stunned at my response. I said, "Okay, then get out. Like, what are you still doing here then? Go. If you don't want to be here, go." And he did. That was the beginning. I had to find myself. As I said, I was stunned at my response to him. I had never entertained the idea of divorce. I had no idea what I was in for or how that was going to look. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have a job. I was a stay-at-home mom and housewife, a mom of a child who'd already grown, thank goodness, so I didn't have to put her through that, although she suffered as well. But through my divorce and through finding myself, I was able to discover energy. I was brought to energy in so many different forms. I tried everything that I could lay my hands on. I did yoga and meditation and intuition classes and Reiki. I'm a Reiki master now. Reiki felt so natural for me once I got over the fact that I was so connected. I had no idea I was so connected. And it took a while. My teachers will attest that I was a little stubborn. I was not very receptive to the idea. I was definitely of the old school where if you see it, you can believe it. But energy doesn't work that way. It's actually the exact opposite. Energy is, if you believe it, you will see it everywhere. And I do now. And I help other people to do that. So it started with my divorce. Then about 5 years into working with energy and really becoming familiar with it and studying all different kinds, I found a new man, and he was amazing. And we were planning on spending the rest of our life together. But about a year into the relationship, he got sick, and sick enough that he ended up in hospital. 2 weeks later, he was gone. And that changed my life. That was not something I was, again, expecting. It was completely out of the blue. We were just getting started. 2 weeks later, I lost my job. And we were living together at his place. So I had to move because we hadn't been together long enough for me to have any claim on anything that he had. So 3 big whammies all at once. I lost my partner, I lost my job, I lost what was our home. And I had to start over in the midst of all that struggle. And just before that, he was a big believer in energy. So he had said to me, you need to share your gift. You need to share this with the world. You need to be doing this as a living. And he had really encouraged me to start my business. So that is when I started it, right before I lost him. So it's even more important to me to keep this going. Not only is it a reminder of him, but it is a testament to what energy can do for us, because energy is what brought us together. So I started the business, and we're off and running, sort of. Like every new business, it had its challenges, and I wasn't exactly comfortable sharing energy with the world. Energy is not something that everyone believes in. It's not like going out to buy groceries, or going for a massage, or going to see the doctor, or the common things that we do every single day. Energy is a little less accepted because it's not understood. It's not something that people understand what it is. Not everyone recognizes that we are simply energetic beings living in a human body. And as such, I struggled for a long time with how I was going to approach this. So while I did tell people what I did, I didn't openly acknowledge that this is my business. I do other things as well. I'm a professional organizer, so it was easy to have that be my mainstream thing. And then I kind of did energy on the side. I have since changed that because doing the organizing made me recognize that the organizing, the stuff we have, is all energy as well. And our connection to that stuff is the energy that we need to be working on, maybe not the stuff as much itself. So I have changed how I do things, and I am now acknowledging and publicly announcing that I work with energy. I am an energy movement facilitator, and I help you move your energy. I help you clear your clutter, mind, body, soul, and home, because everything is energy. So that's a little bit about what I do, but a little more about me. So after my partner died, it took a long time, I would say a couple of years, before I actually was able to function properly. There was a lot of things that had happened with losing my partner, losing my job, and losing my home. And then I had an out with my sister, and she is no longer in my life. And I lost a lot in a very short period of time. So one of the things that I do in my business is help people. This would be the main reason I have this business, is to help people in transition. I help people to transition from empty nest, which I've experienced. My daughter left home at 18 and went to college and never came back. Of course, I've seen her. That sounds a little dramatic. She never came back. She has come back frequently, but she never came back to live. She has since then married an American and now she's lived in Seattle, and now she lives in New York. So she is quite a distance from me at this moment. And we don't get to see each other very often because we have such a great distance to travel. And of course, we live in the age of electronics, and we converse by phone and by Facebook and Skype, and like I get to see her, I just don't get to physically be with her. So that's a huge change in my life. And it's difficult for people, especially moms. So that's some of the people I help. I help people in transition from divorce. I've been there. Transition from the loss of a loved one. I've been there. Transition from loss of a job. I've been there. There are very few things in this life I have not done, which is crazy to me, because I always thought that I had such a calm, well, maybe not calm, but uneventful life. I didn't think there was a whole bunch of drama or terrible circumstances in my life because I just dealt with them. Sometimes not that well, but I've learned a few things. So I can help people now move through those life transitions by helping them to move their energy, which energy is what actually stops us from moving forward. Blocked energy is one of the biggest things. And our energy can be blocked through just energy itself, through our body, or it can be blocked mentally by our thoughts. And we all have these thoughts that run through our head. We call them tapes that play. Stuff that we've learned. As we learn things, they play in a loop over and over in our heads. And we don't recognize that they're playing anymore. It's like listening to music in the background. You know the music is playing, but you don't necessarily hear it until something happens, and then you stop and go, oh, where did that come from? Oh, I'd forgotten about that. But it's popped up from this tape that's playing in your head. So I help you to recognize what is playing and whether or not it actually serves you. Most often those tapes do not serve us. Quite often they're from years past, mostly from our childhood, things we've learned in our childhood. And that is one of the things that has stopped me in the past as well. When I was young, like three or four, my parents got divorced, and I don't blame them for getting divorced. My mom was very, very young when she got married, and it was difficult. Her home life was difficult to begin with, and then she married a man who was an alcoholic and irresponsible, and it just didn't work for her. It really crushed her and caused her some difficulties, which she needed to go take care of, and she couldn't take care of her two young children at the same time. So she left my sister and I with our paternal grandparents for a year, and I felt abandoned. And because I felt abandoned, I wasn't abandoned. My mother was still in touch. She was just doing what she needed to look after herself. And I was well looked after at my grandparents' house, but I felt abandoned. And anyone who's ever examined their childhood will know that children don't always feel what's real. We feel what's real to us, but it may not be logical. So because I felt abandoned, I grew up not recognizing that that was there. So I did all kinds of things that would keep me in the family's good stead because I felt like I wasn't accepted. It's not that I wasn't, I just felt like I wasn't. And once I learned that that was the case, it was so much easier to move forward and do things that actually enhanced my life rather than holding me back. It did take years, like I was 35 when I finally got brave enough to move from my hometown. And that was the best thing I ever did, was move from my hometown. So I have that in my tool belt as well. It was terrifying and exciting all at the same time. And most of you will know, and if you don't, this is a good lesson as well. Good adrenaline and fear adrenaline feel exactly the same. It's you who gets to label it. I don't like adrenaline, whether it's good adrenaline or bad adrenaline. It makes me shake and I don't like it. I don't like the feeling of it in my body. So I try to keep things a little calmer. But there are adrenaline junkies who really like that feeling, which is why they jump off cliffs and do skydiving and do bungee jumping. And usually they will do things that are progressively more dangerous because they want to get that feeling of excitement. I'm not one of those people. And those people usually are ones who show no fear. It's not that they don't have fear, but they work past the fear. And I guess I'm using that example right now because that's what we have to do. We need to put ourselves in a place of being more afraid of staying where we are than moving ahead. The fear we feel has to be greater for what we're leaving behind than where we're going. And I actually think that's kind of sad, but it is what it is. I would love to see us live in a world where we recognize that things need to change and we do it, rather than having to be put in that position of having what we feel like is no choice. I believe in choice, and I believe we have a choice every single day. So my choice every day is to get up and be happy. I choose happy. I'm not able to choose happy every single day or every single moment of every day. Sometimes I have to remind myself. It's not a case of this is my natural state, because I live in the real world and I'm in contact with energy every single day. And the energy we come into contact with is not always good for us. It's not always happy energy. So we sometimes take that energy on, and then we feel that energy, and it makes us feel not the way we want to feel. So we have to recognize that it may not be ours, and there are ways to help remove that. And you can contact me to find out how. At some point in the future, and maybe even in one of my past videos, I've already talked about how to protect yourself from other people's energy. And I will again talk about it in the future as well. So that's a little bit about me. I've lived a very, I can't say exciting life, but there have been some very interesting parts, and I've had to overcome a lot of challenges. And I can definitely help people overcome theirs. Because I've overcome mine, I've developed a system. I've developed a way to get back on track. And that is, it's helpful to have a way to move forward. Because quite often when we get stuck, we don't move, period. When our fight, flight, and freeze center kicks in, lots of times we just freeze. That was my big one. And it's taken lots of time to get over it. Like, public speaking was not my thing. Now I really enjoy it. I had to get over that fear. And the way you get over the fear is to do it. If you do it and do it and do it, the phrase practice makes perfect. Perfect is in the eye of the beholder. Perfect is different for every person. But the whole purpose of the phrase practice makes perfect says that if you just keep doing it, you will get better. There are ways to get better. So I'm really glad you have joined me today in this particular section of About Me. And you will see more about me's in the future, because there is way more to know about me than the little bit I've shared today. I just wanted to touch base and let you know that I am here, and I did promise this segment, and I just wanted you to get to know me a little bit better, and hopefully one day we will get to meet in person. I'm so grateful you have all joined me today, Stacy, Elizabeth, and I've been actually getting a bunch of birthday wishes today because it is my birthday, and what a great day what a perfect day to do an About Me, because for me, my birthday is about me. It's my day today. So I'm so grateful you've all joined me. If you'd like more information about what I do or myself, you can contact me through Facebook or through my website, www.everchanginglife.ca. I hope you all have an amazing day, and thanks so much for joining me.